Are you ready to scale and outsource your business?
Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the Outsourcing and Scaling Show. I'm your host, Nathan Hirsch, a show where we talk about everything Amazon, Shopify, e-commerce, and digital marketing. Let's get started. We are talking all about scaling and growing agencies, and I'm so excited to have you here, Mandy. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So why don't you tell everyone about yourself, why you got into the agency industry or the marketing industry, and tell us all about yourself.
Sure thing. So I started Mod Girl back in 2010. I started off as an affiliate marketer, actually. So I was selling random Amazon products and ClickBank, digital products, everything you can think of, dog training, like fitness, just the most random stuff. Taught myself SEO, HTML, and WordPress. Then discovered I wasn't able to make a living off of selling like $10 products on Amazon. So I knew I had a full-time sales job out of college, and I knew that business owners were complaining about their web designers and their SEO guys, and I saw an opportunity there. So I basically started offering free SEO services. So business owners would pay me once I got their website to first page of Google. And then that works. And then they pay me $500 and then they needed a website and I do that. And they started telling their friends. And next thing I knew, I had a business. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. So I had been trying multiple different business opportunities, if you will, before I even did affiliate marketing. So I was an entrepreneur at heart and knew, I always wanted to have my own business, but didn't really know what. Fell in love with online marketing, saw the need for business owners needing help. And then, I basically started Mod Girl in 2010 as a one-woman show back in Kansas. Scaled it from hiring, obviously, awesome people, including white label agencies and freelancers, and then moved to California in 2012. And so today, Mod Girl helps healthcare companies primarily, so plastic surgeons and other private practices, and also B2B companies. And we focus right now on lead generation funnels. So we do a lot of paid ads, email marketing, and really just getting leads for clients, right? And email marketing as well for sales enablement type stuff. And then I have the other side, which is a passion of mine, which is helping marketing entrepreneurs scale and grow faster. So startup agencies, small agencies, and marketing entrepreneurs. So I have a free Facebook group that you're in and we're just on, Mod Agency Insiders, and I have several courses and my membership as well. So I kind of fell into the white label marketing side of things when I met someone back in Kansas City who was doing it and I didn't really know what it was. And then I started collaborating with other agencies. I was like, wow, this is awesome. So I've always been in the mindset of let's work together and help each other out and not compete against one another. And so that's why, the more I started growing Mod Girl, the more I started giving back to the marketing entrepreneur community and sharing everything that I've learned.
Yeah, I love it. And it's one of the favorite groups. I love when stuff pops up. I'm always going through and reading it because, if it applies to an agency, it usually applies to lots of other businesses as well. And
exactly.
I'm curious to pick your brain a little bit because I think everyone out there that's building an agency, the one thing that they struggle with it is what services should I offer? Should I offer 10 different things? Should I focus on one thing? Maybe it's PPC or SEO. So what are your thoughts on that? And how does someone go about figuring out what they should and should not offer?
Yeah, really good question because everyone does things not the right way, right? When you start a company, it's not like you start off on the right foot and do things all the right way. So when I started Mod Girl, of course, I was like, I can do everything. You need a website? Sure, I'll make you a website. Need a Facebook page? Sure, I'll make you a Facebook page, right? So it started off as SEO. And then I kind of like molded into this full service agency because that's what people needed, right? And I am not one to turn down a challenge. So I was like, I'll just find people who can do it if I need help, right? So I kind of self-taught everything anyway. But when I knew I needed help, I could just go and hire that. But that's not how I recommend doing it. So I am all about specializing. So not just choosing a niche to specialize in, so an industry or a subset of customers to go after, but also services. So I do not recommend selling everything under the sun, at least especially not to begin with. So if you're really good at something, stick with that because that also opens you up to more collaboration opportunities with other agencies and companies. So let's say you want to stick with SEO. Great, do that. Well, there's a million web design companies out there who aren't good at SEO that have the clients you're going after. And so it's real easy to make a connection with them and be like, hey, I'm targeting the same people you are, and I'm doing SEO. I see you're doing web design. My clients need web design. We should talk, right? And so I highly recommend, that you specialize in a particular service and also particular industries.
Yeah, and I saw something this morning that I really liked. Just because you specialize in healthcare doesn't mean that if a really good real estate client comes around that you have to turn them down. You can still take them on, but it's all about who you're targeting, who you're marketing to, what kind of partnerships you form, and then you can pick and choose from the other people that come through the door.
100%. Yeah, and that's what I posted in our Facebook group today because one of a big challenge with a lot of my remote agency society members is niching down. And I think a lot of people overthink it, right? And they also think that they're pigeonholing themselves. Like if I say I'm healthcare, no one else is going to want to hire me. And so in that post today, I was like, actually the opposite happened for me. Like when I put healthcare and technology on my website, I actually started getting more leads from random companies. Like I don't know the rhyme or reason for it. I can't explain it, but it doesn't deter people from reaching out to me. Like if they like your vibe, if they see that you do good work and that they feel like there would be potential there, they're going to reach out to you. So it's not like, I think people just get too worried about, I don't want to, scare off everyone else, but that's not how it works. And if I tell people too, if you're worried about that, then, say these are the industries that we specialize. We help a variety of companies and specialize in these industries, so there's ways to word it too if people are worried about that, but it usually does not deter other people from reaching out.
Yeah, very similar. I mean, Free Up, we target e-commerce, we target marketing. And today I was talking to a summer camp. So you never know what's going to walk in the door. What about just separating yourself? Because there's a lot of other agencies and you can separate yourself in the industry. What about just things that help you stand out as an agency? I know for me personally, I'm a big fan of customer service. And I think that's the big thing that separate yourselves without spending a huge budget. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think customer service obviously is awesome. And that is standing out just from offering personalized services. So kind of going back to customer service, but not just that, but making sure that the client feels special and you're not just a number. So kind of the boutique agency, which I was talking to you about, Nathan, on our live that we did. And kind of, that's one way that we stand out is you're not just a number to us. So how we stand out from the big agencies is we are boutique, meaning that you're going to actually talk to me, the owner, the founder, and the CEO of the company. You're not just another number that we, throw up there. Another thing is this is something I tell people all the time because, they give me their websites to review and I look at them and there's not a single photo of a real human being on their dang website. And I'm like, how do you expect anyone to contact you and want to give you money for services when there's stock photos on here? No one even knows what you look like. No one even knows who you are. It drives me insane. So getting personal too, and I'm not saying you have to be Nate and I here who do videos and, are on camera and sharing all sorts of stuff. You don't have to be that extreme, but put your dang face on your website. Get a little personal, tell people a little bit about your background and don't be afraid to, be a little bit vulnerable because you're going to stand out and you're going to attract people who resonate with you and vibe with you. And again, you're not going to attract everyone, but you don't want to attract everyone. Right. And so I think one way to stand out too is just get a little bit more personal. Put a video on your homepage that introduces yourself and what you do so people get to know you. That's a big thing. And that a lot of people, especially startup agencies, they aren't doing. And a lot of them are camera shy too, but even a picture, a lot of them don't even have a picture of themselves on their website. Let's start there. Just put your headshot on your photo with your name, simple.
I love it. What about sales? Because I feel like where a lot of people struggle is sales is not their strong suit. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're an entrepreneur and you can't sell, you're going to have a really hard time. And in my opinion, it's one of the things you should almost master before everything else. What kind of tips do you have for someone who might not be comfortable in sales or someone who wants to take their sales skills to the next level?
Yes, very good question. So I actually came from a sales background. So instantly out of college, I was in sales, right? And so I was fortunate enough to go through sales training for the employer that I worked with. And so I kind of had that background going in, which made it easier. But for me, and this is just for really anyone who doesn't have a sales background, it's all about them asking the right questions. And so I help a lot of my members by giving them just a generic starting script. I'm not for 100% scripted sales calls because that just doesn't work. Everyone's different, but being real and asking questions and not talking about yourself is probably the biggest tip, because I think a lot of people, especially when starting out, they let the client lead the call. And so, for example, or the prospect, and this still happens to me, and I have to back up and say, actually, let me ask you the questions, right? So, and this is just inevitable for people starting out that aren't experienced in this, but you call a prospect and you're like, hey, tell me what you do. And they start asking questions. That's not how you want that game to go, right? So you want to be in charge, and you want to be the one asking the questions, hitting their pain points, asking what their goals are. What would it be like if you achieved those revenue goals? So just kind of hitting their pain points, having them say it out loud, and then having them paint that pretty picture of what life would be like if you help solve those problems, and then going from there. And if you follow those, it just makes everything so much easier.
Awesome. What about being specific on what clients you take on and what clients you don't take on? I think we've all worked with the clients that are high maintenance, low maintenance, and yes. Yeah, I can count on my hand how many clients I've had to just turn away. We're running a marketplace, not an agency, but I would imagine running an agency, you do have to be a little bit more picky. And if you have clients that are super high maintenance at a low price point, it probably makes it tough. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we actually talked about this today a lot inside Remote Agency Society during my mastermind session, because we were talking about, just there are certain types of clients who are going to value your work and appreciate what you do and not try to micromanage you. And then there's those clients where you're going to know right off the bat if they're going to be the ones that like to run the show, that think they know everything. And so if you're getting that vibe on the discovery call, run away, right? So what I find, unfortunately, is it happens a lot in technology. Believe it or not, because they know a little bit of marketing enough to be dangerous, enough to think that they know everything, right? So I like healthcare because I haven't had a single doctor or practice manager try to pretend like they know marketing, because they don't, right? And so they look at me and my team as the experts, and they're not going to question. Like, they trust us. They're not going to question us. They're not going to, try to go and research what we already researched to try to prove a point. And so there's certain industries, and even like manufacturing and home building, like the contractor type industry, the good old boys. That's actually how I started out, was with roofers and window. I love them because they're super cool dudes and they don't care about marketing, and they listen to you. As long as you get results, that's great. And so we've been talking to more prospects in the B2B niche recently. And I told my RAS members today, I'm almost tempted to not even do technology anymore, because it's so hit and miss with these executives that you work with, and if they're going to be a huge pain or not, so that's another thing too, is working with people who are going to value you and appreciate your expertise, while also having a budget, clearly. And so these are things you ask on the call up front. What are you working with? What's your budget, right? You can't be wasting your time on proposals for people that have a $300 budget when your minimum is $3,000. So, budget, and are they going to be the type of person that you like to work with, essentially?
Right. And what about scaling? This is the Free Up YouTube channel, all about hiring, all about growing your business. How do people grow an agency when hiring, and what mistakes do you see people make a lot?
So some people, I see the mistakes of jumping into hiring full-time employees before they should, because they can't afford it. That's one. And so I started, I didn't hire my first full-time employee for years, and she was actually a freelancer before I hired her, as a full-time employee. So I started off, I think, a smarter way by leveraging white label companies and freelancers. And so that's one mistake is thinking that you have to have a full-time employee, especially in our, that's couldn't be further from the truth, especially in our remote world, right? Yeah. So that's one. The second thing is hiring someone without setting the expectations of what you want them to do, or even knowing what they're capable of. So just you're so overwhelmed that you're just I need to hire someone. And you just hire someone, and you just throw them at things without getting super clear on why the heck are you hiring them, for one? What do you want them to do? And what does this relationship look like? So kind of slowing down, I guess, and kind of strategizing. Just like marketing, you kind of need a strategy before you go out and do it, right? It's just like hiring. You need a freaking strategy before you go out and hire someone. It's a freelancer, if it's a white label agency. So I think a lot of people, they get to the point, these solo agency owners, and they're like, oh God, I'm getting clients in. oh God, I can't even handle this. Like, how am I going to do this work? And then they freak out and then they just go hire someone and then it doesn't work out. But it's because they didn't step back and strategize and train and give them what the individual needed to be successful.
Yeah, makes sense. A question I get asked a lot, and I kind of have a unique answer because I've never run an agency, but what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Are you getting the clients and then hiring the people to
getting the clients?
Satisfy the need? Yeah, clients is always first.
Yeah, and what's funny is I have members that they will invest in my Mod Outsource Masters course, which you're familiar with, and they don't have a single client. And that's just how they work, you know, and I will tell them over and over again, look, I would rather you like not give me your money for this course. Go out and get a client and then you can buy my course and I'll help you with, hiring and white labeling and freelancers, but they just don't see it that way. And so, there's different personalities. I get it, but at the same time, like, it's not like you're going to get a client and then the client's going to expect something the next day, like you always have time, you have a leeway, like you're quoting a client, there's usually some sort of setup phase, or even if you're doing like a foot in the door audit, you have a couple of weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, typically, to minimum. Most of it's a month. And so there is always time to find someone to do something you need. And so I'm all about, let's just go out there and hustle and close the client and figure out what we're going to do after we close it. That's my mantra, if you will.
So what are tips for getting that first client? You're brand new, you're launching an agency, you've got no references, you got no feedback online. How do you get the first one?
So I got like I said, my first client just from people that I knew, and I don't recommend offering free services now. I don't think it's necessary, but it's always an option. But I was a networking hustler in Kansas City where I started my business. So that's how, like, those personal connections, because I didn't have the luxury of having a beautiful website with lovely SEO that ranks well like I do now, 10 years later almost, and a huge social media following. I didn't have any of that. And so I went out and I networked. I met business owners. I had them introduce me to their friends. And so it was just really about building relationships. And so for those startup agency owners that are in that position, I always tell them, start local. Even if if you want to start local on LinkedIn, start local on LinkedIn and message people that way and introduce yourself. But I always recommend that, that personal touch, that face-to-face interaction, especially when you're first starting out, because really nothing beats, face-to-face interaction. Of course, I haven't done that in years because I haven't needed to, but that is how I started Mod Girl. It was all networking and face-to-face.
Same. That's how I started FreeUp. Networking is king.
It is indeed.
So what have I not asked? What are some last tips about growing an agency? We're wrapping up now. For someone who's never run an agency before, someone who's trying to scale their agency, what other tips do you have?
Don't overthink things and just go out and do it. I mean, we as entrepreneurs, we like to research things and, map it all out and overthink it and strategize it and say, but what if? And so that's like the biggest roadblock I think a lot of marketing agency owners and especially startup agency owners and marketing consultants have is they overthink everything. So they'll spend months trying to niche down because I told them to choose a dang niche. And I'm like, just go out and get a client, just do it. Or they overanalyze their lead magnet. Or they spend 5 weeks on their dang website when all you need is a simple landing page. That's another tip too. And I'm guilty of this, and I'm a perfectionist. I like things to be beautiful. And so I know, I did probably spend a ton of time in the early days doing my own website and overanalyzing things and spending 8 years, doing a little image that no one's even going to notice or see. Right. So little things like that, take a step back and look at what you're spending your time on. And ask yourself, is this really going to move the needle and make me money? Is this helping me get to that next phase where I want to be, landing that next client? And if it's not, then don't do it, or find a VA to do it, outsource it, So things like that, I think, is the biggest, kind of tip I have is quit spending time doing things that aren't going to grow your business. And if you need it done, you can hire someone to do that. Go to FreeUp, hire someone to do it for you.
This was great. So tell people where they can find them, give them the name of your Facebook group. Yeah.
So modgirl.social is the link, or you can just go to Facebook and type in Mod Agency Insiders. But yeah, you guys can join the Facebook group. We'd love to have you. I share awesome tips and tricks about scaling an agency. We have lots of awesome members like Nate, who also shares great information and gets conversations started. And once you join, everything will be in there, including my my courses and my master classes and free proposal template and all the awesomeness that I have in store. So check it out. And modgirlmarketing.com is my website too.
Awesome. And we'll have the links below. Thanks again for joining us.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this content? If so, click like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you great content all about hiring.